She didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She stood there while the manager smirked, blocked her path, and told her, loud enough for everyone to hear, that this place was members only, and people like her didn't belong inside. White guests walked past without question. Heads turned. Judging eyes lingered. Security hovered. The humiliation was polite, controlled, and public, designed to make her leave quietly and ashamed. What he didn't realize was that every insult, every refusal, every second of disrespect was being measured. And when the truth came out, the door he guarded so proudly would become his exit. The manager planted himself squarely in front of her, blocking the doorway with a practiced smile that didn't hide the contempt underneath. "I've explained this already," he said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "This is a members-only facility." His tone carried certainty, the kind that assumes no one will challenge it. A few people slowed their steps. Curious eyes turned. The performance had begun. She met his gaze calmly. "I'm here for lunch," she replied. No apology, no hesitation. That alone irritated him. He tilted his chin, looking her over like an inconvenience that refused to disappear. "Then you're in the wrong place," he said. "There's a public cafe down the street, much more appropriate." The word landed with intention. A quiet snicker came from the lounge. Phones appeared, discreet but ready. Behind her, an older white couple entered, laughing. The manager's posture transformed instantly. His smile widened, warmth flooding his voice. "Welcome back," he said, stepping aside for them without asking for anything. "Your usual table is ready." They passed her as if she were invisible. The contrast was surgical. She noticed it. So did everyone else. This was the first humiliation, silent, undeniable, and public. When the manager turned back to her, the warmth vanished. "Credentials?" he asked sharply. She shook her head. "I'm meeting someone." He interrupted with a raised hand. "Without proof of membership or a confirmed sponsor, you are not allowed inside." He leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. "Those are the rules." The implication was clear. Rules for her, exceptions for others. More guests paused. Whispers followed. A woman in tennis gear eyed her with open judgment. The manager straightened, sensing approval. "I am the general manager," he announced, as if daring anyone to object. "All decisions go through me." The words weren't meant for her. They were meant for the audience. This was the second humiliation. Authority performed for applause. She remained still. That silence irritated him more than protest would have. He stepped closer, invading her space. "I've been patient," he said. "Now I'm asking you to leave." He gestured toward the exit, not touching her, but close enough to threaten it. A security guard shifted nearby. The message was unmistakable. Leave quietly, or be removed. The third humiliation settled in. Intimidation disguised as procedure. Her phone vibrated in her hand. She glanced at it and slipped it away without answering. The manager noticed and smirked. "Calling for backup?" he mocked. "Or hoping someone important will rescue you?" A few guests laughed. He straightened, confidence swelling. Backing down now would mean admitting he'd misjudged her, and he would rather humiliate her completely than do that. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor," she said calmly. The manager laughed outright. "You're looking at him." He spread his hands. "This establishment caters to a certain caliber." He let the silence linger. "And you don't fit it." The insult hung heavy. No one corrected him. No one intervened. The room accepted his verdict. Security took a step closer. "Sir?" the guard asked. The manager nodded. "Escort her out if she doesn't comply." He looked back at her, eyes hard. "Last chance." She studied him for a long second, then nodded once. "I'll leave," she said. Relief flickered across his face. Victory. She turned and walked toward the exit, aware of the stares following her. As she reached the door, she heard him mutter, "This is why we keep standards." Laughter answered him. Outside, she paused. The humiliation burned, but it sharpened her focus. She inhaled, steadying herself, then made a call. "We need to move faster," she said quietly. "I've seen enough." There was a brief pause on the other end, then a single word. "Understood." She ended the call and went back inside. When she re-entered, a staff member approached immediately. "Ma'am," the young woman said nervously, "I've been instructed to escort you to the conference room." Confusion rippled through the lobby. The manager spun around. "What are you doing?" he snapped. The staff member handed him a printed email. He scanned it once, then again. The color drained from his face. "There must be some mistake," he stammered, voice suddenly softer. "I wasn't aware you were associated." She met his eyes, calm as ever. "Clearly." She stepped past him without asking permission. Conversations died. Guests leaned in. The power in the room shifted, slow and unmistakable. Moments later, a group entered through the main doors, confident, deliberate, unmistakably in charge. At the center was a man who walked straight toward her, smiling. "There you are," he said warmly, placing a hand at her back. "How was lunch?" The manager froze. Recognition struck him like a blow. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. She turned slightly. "Gentlemen," she said, calm and final, "I represent the ownership." The man beside her added, "She's my wife." The room froze. The manager whispered, "I didn't know." She answered, cold, "Exactly." Security stepped toward him. She didn't look back. If that moment hit hard, like and share this video. Comment the exact second everything changed and where you're watching from. Subscribe for more stories where arrogance collapses and dignity wins.